Okay, so the M3 is up in the air. What's the project today? We're going to be installing the OEM GT splitter. People call it the LTW splitter and all that, but this is an OEM GT splitter, and I'm going to be attaching it to the Motion Motorsports Underpanel, so I'm not going to be using the OEM mounts. Speaking of the mounts, the hardware kit I'm using to make this work with the Motion Motorsports Underpanel kit is from nsportparts.com. It's ran by Brayman 141 on the forums. These are instructions that I'm going off of, and I'm just gonna try to duplicate it. M3 forums is down, so I can't see his DIY. Tools you're gonna need are just some basic wrenches from 10 to 13, screwdrivers for taking the trim off, and then a nutsert tool for the big BPM 12s. Of course, you need the underpanel, and I got this from FCP Euro because I figure if I crack this at the track or leaving my driveway, I can just return it and get a new one for free. I did not get OEM corners, which I'm actually kind of seeing an issue already, is that when this is lined up, you can see it kind of overhangs, so I'm probably gonna have to trim those. I'll make it look as good as I can and then decide if I need to replace them with better ones later. But yeah, first things first, to start this out is we're going to go ahead and get the front bumper off with the Motion Motorsports Underpanel and take a look. Okay, we're into the car, and the first thing I'm going to do before I remove my bumper is, for some reason, Motion Motorsports, you can see they send you the piece, and the piece is too long, so I actually have this tucked in between my front lip, and that was fine before, but now that I'm going to have the splitter sitting up flush to it, I'm going to trim this so that it's not tucked. So I'm just going to take a Sharpie and draw a line all the way around, and then I will go ahead and trim this off with an angle grinder. Okay, now we're back under the car, and you can see that the Motion Motorsports under tray is held on by these metal brackets, besides being held in on the bumper, and they go up to your front bumper support. Now, the biggest flaw with the Motion Motorsport Underpanel is how they connect this to the frame. So we're actually going to be fixing this problem while we're doing it, and I would recommend that everybody do this when they're installing their underpanel in the first place. So we're going to go ahead and undo these two guys, and then undo these two, and the same on the other side just for your plastics, and then the whole bumper should come off with the tray. So basically this is all the hardware from Motion Motorsport panel. I think we're going to replace these with flush bolts on the bottom so that it doesn't interfere with our splitter. It looks like this crack has gone a bit farther. I can patch that up, and then this is where the mounts go. So on to fixing the underpanel. Okay, now that we're back underneath, I'm going to show you the flaw with the Motion Motorsport mounting. You can actually see that this is already loose. I might be able to just pull it out. Yep, got rocks in my face. As you can see, it's just held in by these expanding plastic guys, which I'm sure if everything is perfect and when you first install them, they could be very strong, but to me, the right side has constantly been breaking, so it's time to replace these with the nutserts that came with the kit. There you go. She ain't going anywhere. Okay, next we're going to avert our attention to our underpanel, and we're going to actually take it off because I do need to trim this, and we're going to replace these guys with nutserts and use flush fitting bolts so that our splitter doesn't hit it. Alright, that was kind of a pain in the butt, but Now you can see my line, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So the next step, now that we have this all cut out, we're going to enlarge the old holes in the bumper just a little bit and install rivnuts in there, and then that will allow us to use our flush mount bolts to go through. We will need to enlarge these holes just a tad, and then we're going to chamfer it so that sits flush. Okay, so we got all the nut certs in and our flush mounted guys. Time to fit the corners on. I'm going to mount this corner splitter is I'm going to use some M5s through these two small ones, and then for the bigger ones I'm going to use M8s. So I need to find this in the center, put this in the center so I can mark my holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this masking tape as a straight edge. And I'm just going to find my center using the center of the bumper in the middle of my panel. Okay, now that I have these two mounted, and we're mostly in the center, I'm now going to mark the holes for these guys, put the nut certs in them, and then install the screws and bolts. We're going to install the support bracket mounts. So you're just going to remove the original body nuts, I don't know what else you call it, and replace them with the kit's big beefy ones. To do the side support brackets, it goes on the OEM mounting point for the bumper bracket to the bumper support. These are just 13s. Next step is to put the supports in there, measure where we're going to drill the holes, and then we can attach them. Okay, so this is what she looks like with the stanchions installed and the trim back on. To install the stanchions, all we did was measure in, off the center so that they're evenly spaced apart, and then drilled a hole for a little M6 to go through with the washer. The same on top. This replaced, as we saw before, the M8 nut that goes to your bumper support. And then in the center, it just uses your license plate brackets, or where your license plate would have brackets, and then you run your middle one. So all in all, I'm extremely happy with this, and I think it worked out absolutely fantastic. So if you have any questions, let me know. Check out M Sport Parts if this is something you want to do. It's almost time to take the cover off my oil cooler. It's getting hot.